So, you're thinking about moving to the cloud. It's a huge, critical decision for any business, right? But let's be honest, the path forward can look like a total mess of options and acronyms. In this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and give you a clear, strategic map for your cloud journey.
You know that feeling? It's like you've just been dropped into a massive maze with a dozen different paths, and all the signs are confusing. You've got your applications, you know your destination is the cloud, but getting from point A to point B? Yeah, it's anything but a straight line.
But what if you had a compass? Well, that's exactly what the 5 R's are. It's this powerful, proven framework that takes all that chaos and simplifies it into 5 clear, strategic options you can use for any application you want to migrate. This is your guide through that maze. Okay, let's break these down, because each one has its own trade-offs. First up is rehost, or lift and shift. This is your fastest ticket to the cloud. But be careful. Sometimes you're just moving your old problems to a more expensive home. Then there's replatform, or lift and reshape. This is kind of the happy medium. You make a few small tweaks to get some quick cloud benefits without a massive rewrite. Refactor is the big one. You're rebuilding to be cloud native. It's the most powerful for sure, but also the most complex and costly. And here's a pro tip for you. Don't sleep on retire and retain. Seriously, deciding what not to move can be one of the smartest, money-saving decisions you make.
So theory is great and all, but let's see how this actually works in the real world. We're going to take 3 common types of applications and use our new 5 R's compass to map them to their perfect cloud destination. First up, the classic monolith. Oh yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. It's that huge, supercritical internal system that everybody in the company relies on, but it's also incredibly difficult and risky to change. It's just this one giant, interconnected block of code. So, what do we do with that? For a monolith, you've basically got 2 main paths. The first one is to rehost it directly onto a virtual machine using something like Google Compute Engine, or GCE. This is fast, it's low risk, and it gets you out of your data center ASAP. Or you could re-platform it into containers on Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE. Now this takes a bit more work up front, but here's why it's so powerful. Containers separate your app from the operating system, which makes it way more portable and easier to scale. It's really your first step toward modernizing, but without having to do a full rewrite.
All right, let's switch gears to our next example. A simple, pretty straightforward web application. It works just fine, but you know it's not very efficient. You just have that gut feeling it could be a whole lot better. This thing is a perfect candidate for some modernization.
And this is a perfect scenario for the refactor strategy. Instead of just moving the app, you're going to rebuild it using modern serverless tools. On Google Cloud, that might mean using services like Cloud Run for your app code and Cloud SQL for the database. So you're not just moving into a new house, you're building a brand new one that scales up and down automatically. And this is the best part, you only pay for what you actually use.
Okay, our last example is a small analytics job. Maybe it's an old script that runs on some server tucked away in a corner, and it takes forever to process data. You know, it gets the job done eventually, but everyone complains about how slow it is. Now here's where things get really clever. You can actually combine strategies. First, we're going to retire the old inefficient system. Don't move it, don't even think about it, just get rid of it. Then we refactor the analytics logic to run on a platform that was built for this stuff, like Google's BigQuery. And the result? You go from waiting hours for a report to getting real-time insights in seconds. That's not just an improvement, it's a complete transformation of what your business can do. So, let's do a quick recap of what we just mapped out. For that big, scary monolith, rehosting to GCE is the safe, fast play. For the web app, a refactor to Cloud Run and SQL unlocks all these modern capabilities. And for that painfully slow analytics job, combining retire and refactor to use BigQuery gives you a massive performance win. See? Every application gets the right strategy for the right reason. Now, we've talked a lot about the how, all the tech stuff. But the single most important rule in any migration project is to focus on the why. Technology is the tool, it's not the goal itself. And this right here is the absolute crucial point. It is so tempting to fall into the trap of, resume-driven development, picking the newest, coolest tech just because it's cool. But the correct choice is always, always the one that lines up with what your business actually needs. Don't refactor an application just for the sake of it if a simple rehost is what's going to solve your immediate problem. So what really drives your decision?
Well, it pretty much boils down to these three things. First up, time. Is your data center contract expiring in 3 months? That reality might just force you into a quick rehost. Second, risk. Does your team have the skills for a really complex refactor, or do you need to keep disruption to the business at an absolute minimum? And finally, your ultimate business goals. Are you trying to cut costs, or are you trying to innovate faster? Your answers to these questions will dictate your entire strategy.
Okay, so we've given you the map and we've given you the compass. Now let's arm you with the right questions to ask before you even think about taking that first step. Before you write a single line of code, your team needs to have absolute, crystal clear answers to these questions. If you don't have a clear business driver, your project will just drift aimlessly. If you prioritize the wrong apps, you're leaving value on the table. And honestly, moving forward without defining what success looks like or what your team can handle, that is a recipe for disaster. Getting this clarity up front will save you so many headaches down the road.
So, there you have it, the 5 R's framework. It turns this complex, confusing maze into a series of deliberate, strategic choices. The technology is incredibly powerful, but the right path for you is always going to be determined by your business, your team, and your goals. The only question left is, which journey are you going to take?